Here are 5 things that's keeping you on the struggle bus and also stopping you from being more successful in your personal life. So, I've been a therapist for about 4 years, really going on 5 years. And I've also been a high performance coach as well, working with a lot of entrepreneurs and working professionals. And over the course of time, I've seen a trend between people that's been successful with their goals and people that's not. And what I've seen was these 5 things that I'm sharing with you so that way you can avoid them, so that way you can hit your goals faster. Now, the first thing I want to do is tell you a story about me and how I was on the struggle bus. So, about 10 years ago, I purchased one of my second car, not my first car, but my second car, which was an '05 Nissan Altima. Okay. And 10 years ago, that was 2013. So the car was already old. And when I got it, the car had about 110,000 miles on it. And I thought, hey, like it still runs, right? So the fact that it still worked, the fact that it still ran, I was like, hey, let's get it. So I got it. And through the course of college, through the course of my time at Clemson and Winthrop University, it actually lasted me, right? And then when I came down to Miami, I had that car for about maybe like 2 years, right? And a lot of things happened over the course of those 2 years that I want to tell you. One of the first things that happened was the gas hand. Now, I don't know if you guys ever drove a broken down car or a car that's kind of like on its way out, but one of the things that happens is that the gas hand starts to almost like not be reliable, if you will. So I would have to rely on my memory to remember how much gas is in the car. So I never knew if I had a full tank, half a tank, no tank, right? No gas in it, which actually happened a few times where I was stranded on the highway, right? And I had to call my Geico insurance to come bring a gas tank or bring gas to me so that way I can get back to where I was going. And it caused me a lot of stress and a lot of headache, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't big enough to make me say, hey, I'm gonna go buy an entirely new car because I was like, hey, I just gotta remember better. So here I am driving my Nissan Altima, just simply remembering how much gas is in it. And then the next thing that happened was the windows wouldn't work. So whenever I got in the car, and you got to crank it up, and it takes a little while for the AC to kind of start working or whatever. Like I would be in the car sweating because I had to wait for it to warm up because I couldn't let the windows down. So I'm like, all right, that's tough. It's hard, but you know what? I'm still gonna drive it. I'm saving money by not getting a new car, and that was my whole mentality. But then another thing happened where the car would burn through oil like no one before, right? It would burn through oil so fast that I was almost having to get 2 oil changes for every one time that someone would get an oil change. So maybe every like month and a half, I'll have to go and buy oil and then pour it into the car. And that got expensive after a while because I was running through, like I said, these oil changes, oil cans like crazy, if you will. So that was tough. But again, wasn't enough to make me say, hey, I need a new car. But then what really made me say, hey, Phil, it's time to let go of this. It was the AC. Now, I live in Miami and year round it's like 80, anywhere from 80 to like high 90s. We really only have maybe like 2 weeks of winter. And even during that time, it's probably like in the 50s. So going through the summer is the dog days. You cannot make it through the summer down in Miami with no AC. You're practically asking to pass out. So when that happened, I was like, hey, I need to get a new car. But by then, I've spent so much money on whether it was the oil or my gas hand and some other things that I actually didn't mention. Like I spent so much money that it was costing me more money to keep this old car than it would have cost me to get a new car, right? So that's one of the first things that keeps people on the struggle bus is that they're being cheap. And I've been there, right? We think, oh man, I'm saving all this money by not getting a new car, not doing the down payment, not getting new insurance, like all that stuff. But in the long run, it's actually costing you, right? It's costing you. So I want you to write this down. I want you to remember this. It is expensive to be cheap. It is expensive to be cheap. Remember that, okay? Remember that. And that's one of the things. So what I want you guys to start to do is ask yourself, how much money can I spend to have this problem solved? How much money am I willing to spend to learn a skill that would help me to make this problem a lot easier to deal with? Or can I just delegate it? Can I just find someone to outsource this problem, this work, so that way I can get back to the more important things in my life? I've ran into a couple clients who were overstressed, overworked, and I told them, hey, at this point, we just got to find someone to take care of the laundry, to order food, to clean the yard, clean the pool, like all this stuff. So that way we can save not only time and money, but truly energy, okay? And that's what we got to focus on. That's one of the first things that keeps people on the struggle bus. Again, they're being cheap. So whatever problem you have, ask yourself this: how much money am I willing to spend to solve this problem? All right, here's the second thing that keeps people on the struggle bus, and it's time. People come into my therapy office, or virtual now, and they think that, oh, I've came to therapy, therefore my problems are solved. I don't have to work on anything else outside of this 1 hour. And I'm like, yo, you're with me for 1 hour. And technically, it's supposed to be like 50 minutes, okay? Because 50 minutes is a clinical hour. But let's just say an hour. You're with me for 1 hour a week. And in some cases, it's every 2 weeks. Now, there's you guys are smart. There's 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. My 1 hour, even though it's great, it cannot substitute the work that you need to be putting outside of therapy, right? Outside of therapy and outside of coaching. So one of the things that keeps people on the struggle bus is that they're simply not putting enough time to solving their problems. I want you guys to look at your schedule, and I want you guys to start to develop huge chunks of free time, huge chunks of uninterrupted time. Now, for you, that may vary. For me, hey, I can create 5 hours of uninterrupted time to where if I'm in a pinch, all I can do is say, you know what? I'm not going to go to the gym. I can maybe cancel a client if I need to, but whatever it is, I have 5 hours every day that I can spend to my work, right? Spend to me working on my business and all these other things, including this podcast, if you will. Now, for you, it may be best for you to start off with finding 1 hour. Can you find 1 hour that's uninterrupted that you can put towards solving your problems? Now, this may be early in the morning if you have a family, or let's say you have a typical 9 to 5. Find that 1 hour, or maybe it's after work. If you're not out, great, cool. I'm not going to tell you have to be an early morning bird like myself. No, just find 1 hour, stick to it, and it starts to add time to that. Now, you can also combine things together. I'll tell you what I mean by that, right? So if you're like, coach, I hear you. I need to dedicate more time to my problem, but I don't have time. And that is a myth, but let's just say it's true. I want you to start doing things like listening to podcasts that can solve your problem in your car. Or I want you to take your full lunch break, which I know you're guaranteed, and see if you can start to implement, whether it's a strategy or let's just say simple phone calls where you consult with people to help you with the problems that you're going through. You can find the time, okay? Again, even if you have to combine it with other things that you're doing, like I said, whether it's while you're driving or working out at lunch on your break, whatever the case it may be. So just dedicate more time. Now, here's the third thing, and I'm going to start off with a story. So in my sessions, I'm amazed with how people show up to my sessions. I've had doctors, pharmacists, engineers, web developers, entrepreneurs, coaches. I've seen it all. Even other therapists have come and seen me about their confidence. And one thing that's always been interesting to me is to see the people that show up with the pen and paper ready and those who don't. These people that show up with the pen and paper ready, it's almost as if they know this is an opportunity, or they know that this time is valuable, whether it's them seeing their own time being valuable or them valuing my time. Nonetheless, they value the concept of time. So as a result, they're very, very focused. And that's number 3. You need to be very focused on your problem and have that laser light focus to where nothing can pull you out of this. And that's where step number 2, or the secret number 2 that's keeping people on the struggle bus, is so important. Whenever you find yourself scrolling through Instagram, YouTube, or watching TV, please know that you're supporting someone else's dream. It could be someone like Mark Zuckerberg, or the people that you're watching on social media, right? It could be whoever's podcast, whoever's like social media posts, whoever's whatever it is. Please know that you're investing valuable time, energy, and effort into their dreams. And I need you to bring that focus back to what you have going on. And that is very, very important. You know, something that I tell my clients is that I too also get coaching. I have a Facebook ads coach, and right now we're learning how to create the images to go on my posts, because I have the offers ready, I have the emails ready, I even have the copy ready that goes underneath the post. But right now I need to work on the images, because I had the images, but he said, Coach, this isn't good. He didn't say this, but he was like, Coach, you messed up. You got to go back and redo it. And I was like, okay, cool. And you know, throughout that 1 hour of coaching, I had a notepad full of notes, and he didn't have to tell me this, right? And something that I asked him at the beginning when we first met, I said this. I said, what separates the people that you see successful with Facebook ads and those who aren't. And he said one thing, those people that take action. So you have to take action, and also you have to focus, okay? Value your time. And if you don't value your time, at least value the people's time that you're taking up by getting coaching, getting advice, getting mentorship. So number 3, the thing that keeps people on the struggle bus is they lack focus. All right, number 4, people tend to lack the emotional involvement that comes with solving their problems. So what do I mean by that? Well, I want you to look at the problems that you're going through, whether it's personal or professional, and ask yourself, is this problem something that would be nice to solve or something that must be solved? Because if it's something that is nice to be solved, it kind of leaves this door open for you to not take action. But if you say that it is a must, it has to happen by next week, next month, next year, or even in the next hour, then you're going to approach it in a way that will leave you nothing but success. So I need you to ask yourself, is this a must have or is this a nice to have? So when it comes to the emotional part, right? When it comes to the emotional part, what's key is what is it that you value? If you value, let's say, connection, but you're having problems in your relationship, this problem is a must solve. If you value leadership within your business and you feel as though you're not being heard, that is a must have, right? That is a must have. There are so many things that I can say when it comes to the values piece, but please know that at the end of the day, if it doesn't speak to you, if it's not a must have, if it's not something that you truly value, you're not going to be emotionally tied to the outcome. And I'll even add this. If you could find a reason why this problem will help other people if you solved it, it would actually make you more emotionally involved with solving this problem. I'll give you an example. If being consistent with your podcast, right, we can say that's something that I'm doing. If we know that being consistent with your podcast is going to help people that can't afford your services, then this is going to help you to make sure that you're more consistent with that podcast because you're serving people that are, let's say, not able to afford your services. We'll just put it like that, right? Or we could say like this. Let's say you're a pastor, right? Sometimes I get preachers, pastors, or people who have a message, right? We could take spirituality, we could take religion out of it. Sometimes I get people who have a message and they want to get that message out there, but they're afraid because they're going to get judged. So as a result, they procrastinate. And what I tell them, I love telling them this. What I tell them is that, hey, you're being selfish. You're being selfish. Why? Because there's someone out there dealing with this problem who can't wait to have your solution. So stop making it about you and make it about the people that you're serving, okay? And that's how you get more emotionally involved with these topics, with these problems. So that way you're going to put forth more effort. Again, is it a must-have or a must-solve? Or is it like, it'd be nice to solve? All right, and number 5, I had to say the best for last. So this is the thing that I see keep people stuck for the longest. And it actually ties to the previous 4 all together. And it's called the sunk cost fallacy, okay? What is that? So it's a bias that we all have where if you find yourself investing a lot of time, energy, or even money into a solution that is not working, sometimes what people would do is they would stick to it because they feel as though they've invested so much time already into it that it would be a complete loss if they just abandon it, if they just jump ship. So what you want to do when this happens is you want to first identify what works and what doesn't work, okay? Sometimes you have to go and pay, like I said, with that the first secret, you just have to go out there and pay someone to actually solve this problem for you, or you need to pay someone that's going to give you the coaching. Now, if you've been working and trying and you see no results, maybe you guys weren't clear on the expectations. Maybe you guys weren't clear on what your goals were. If that is the case, see if you can make it clear and see if they can come up with a new plan. See if you can come up with a new plan. But if not, this is where you want to jump ship and find another solution, okay? Sometimes, hey, it may be the coach, it may be you, it may be the therapist, it may be you. Whatever it is okay to let go of things that are not working. This is where people sometimes say, the devil you know is better than the devil that you don't know. And that keeps people stuck because there may not be a devil out there, right? There's a good chance you can find a solution that's going to solve your problem and it won't take you as much time and maybe even not as much money. But you have to be willing to go find those opportunities. So these are the 5 things that keeps people stuck with their problems. Again, one of them is money. Another one is time. Another one is emotions. Another one is focus. And then the last one is the sunk cost fallacy. All right. So thank you for checking out this podcast. This is Coach Wells, and I'll see you guys later.